Deaconess is a ministry of the United Church of Christ planted nearly 130 years ago as a response to the needs of vulnerable people in St. Louis. In the spirit of our faith heritage, Deaconess Foundation's mission is the improved health of the metropolitan St. Louis community and its people. We envision a community that values the health and well-being of all children and gives priority attention to the most vulnerable. Faith undergirds all our work, and our faith heritage calls us to respond to community needs in thoughtful, caring ways today, just as it did at our genesis. Our work in 2015 and 16 reflected this commitment. The health and well-being of the St. Louis region was called into question nationally in 2014. This discourse marked the very public diagnosis of an unhealthy community, with suffering children and racial inequity as prominent symptoms. Throughout 2015, we listened deeply through the Uprising and Ferguson Commission process. This affirmed our commitment to take a systemic approach to building the community's capacity to advance child well-being. It also taught us that racial equity and public policy had to be centered in our strategy. Deaconess awarded more than $5 million in grants and program support to the community between 2015 and 2016. Funding focused on building organizational capacity, mobilizing community members, strengthening advocacy efforts, and shifting public policy. But the most significant investments were in the Deaconess Impact Partnership. With the completion of the third round in 2016, it marked the deepest commitment in our history, with more than $20 million invested since 2004. Our position in relationship to grassroots and grasstops actors is a valuable asset to be carefully stewarded. This critical trust calls us to advocate and amplify community voices regularly and faithfully to influence public policy. Our service with the Ferguson Commission in 2015 was an example of this balancing act. The delivery of the report in September of 2015 informed our next steps with the community and shifts in our philanthropy. In November 2015, Deaconess worked with local organizers to host public accountability meetings. Then, throughout 2016, the community voice through the Commission's work further informed Deaconess' internal learning and developing the Just for Kids theory of change, integrating the Changing States framework, results-based accountability, and racial equity in grant-making. With commitment to equity in mind, in 2016, Deaconess strengthened its socially responsible investment policy by increasing investment in firms with healthy records of worker rights and environmental sustainability, and divested from companies that profit from weapons, the prison industrial complex, or the subjugation of people in Palestine. We also set goals for the participation of minority investment managers in our portfolio. Core to our vision is a collaborative community working for child well-being. On September 20th, 2016, Deaconess broke ground for the construction of the Deaconess Center for Child Well-Being. This regional convening center is Deaconess' first building in a generation and is a place for the community to engage, collaborate, and advocate to advance equity for our kids. Whether it's leading congregants, clergy, and child advocates to the Capitol for Missouri Child Advocacy Day, or hosting children at the center, we engage and mobilize diverse constituencies to advance public policy. 2015 and 16 included record-breaking efforts for both events, placing children, parents, United Church of Christ clergy, and policymakers in dialogue in Jefferson City, North St. Louis, and East St. Louis. We also sent Deaconess delegations to the Children's Defense Fund Institute for Child Advocacy Ministry. Our time there included spiritual renewal, movement building, workshops, and continuing education about the urgent needs of children at the intersection of race and poverty. The experience left our delegation informed, inspired, and ready to put faith into action to improve child well-being. Join us in the years to come as we continue to build a community just for kids.